The pressure cooker. Why stuffing your emotions actually backfires. You think you're being strong when you're pushing your emotions down. You tell yourself, I'm going to deal with this later. It's not worth it. Or, you kind of go through this whole cycle of deflecting how you actually feel and rationalizing it all away. Well, let me tell you, my friend, those emotions don't actually go away. You push their feelings down. You think that they're going to disappear, but in reality, they build pressure. And that pressure eventually comes out in these dysfunctional ways, and often at the people that you love the most. Our relationships are based on how we feel, emotions. So when we are talking about love and we're talking about connection and the longevity of our relationship, and that is all based on how we feel about each other. Safety and security are at the very root of that foundation, is that you make me feel safe. When we stuff emotion down and we build a pressure cooker inside of ourselves by deflecting our feelings, rationalizing them away, you're eventually going to learn to do that to your partner or to your kids. As a result of doing that, you become unsafe because stored emotions build up and then they squish out sideways. They start to leak out in the way that you talk and how you move, and you seemingly feel annoyed to the people around you, annoyed, irritated, frustrated, angry, and you teach the people around you to walk on eggshells. You don't really do anything about how they feel by validating it. You tend to do the same thing to them that you're doing to yourself. Hi, I'm Dr. Scott Symes. I run the program Breaking Reactive Patterns, the blueprint for building a safe and healthy relationship. Hit that subscribe button for when I make a video every week, and make sure you turn the bell on for notifications to alert you when that video comes out. If you're a person, you're listening to this and you're thinking to yourself, this sounds like my partner, please share this video. It does you absolutely no good for you to know this information, but you're not sharing it with your partner, and your problems in the relationship just perpetuate. Why we suppress our emotions. This is taught to us generally in several different ways. First one is social conditioning. This idea that you can't be weak. Emotions are weak. This is caught in our movies, our TV shows, different examples of what a man is supposed to be like or a woman is supposed to be like. We have a process of devaluing our feelings socially. We also get those messages from our childhood. So many of us are raised by people who just don't know how to deal with their own feelings. They have built their own pressure cooker. They don't know how to handle how they feel or even talk about how they feel. And as a result, they did the same thing to you. So when you were experiencing your feelings, you were told to suck it up, quit whining, quit being a baby. And they would devalue how you felt. They would call you names, chastise you, shame you, or make you feel bad about simply feeling. Or you've adopted a dysfunctional belief that says ignoring emotions equals emotional control. That somehow by not paying attention to how we feel, ignoring it, talking ourselves out of it, that is somehow a strong, good thing to do because it leads to more control, because we don't want to be too emotional. So remember this, suppressing your emotions isn't control, it's delayed chaos. Let's talk about what actually happens when you stuff emotion. Suppressed emotions are actually archived in the body and in the brain. You see, our nervous system is built around survival. And the survival strategies that we have at the most basic level are fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. And when we suppress emotion, especially when we're hurt or we are, feeling rejected or abandoned, that feeling comes up against our social conditioning that says that if I admit to how I feel, it's weak. So where does that emotion go? We feel it in our nervous system. It gets stored in our nervous system, and we get very hypervigilant around that idea, like the idea of being rejected. So when our spouse is ignoring us or not paying attention to us and we feel that feeling, we might do one of those four things. We might fight, accuse him of something or accuse her of something. We might flight and just leave and avoid our partner altogether. We might fawn and be like, are you mad at me? Are you upset with me? Did I do something to you? Because we can't stand that feeling. That is a dysfunctional way of dealing with our emotions, is to drop our nervous system down into our survival strategies, when in reality, you need to learn how to be able to build your healthy adult so you can communicate how you feel in a healthy way. You ever meet somebody who is seemingly like a ticking time bomb? It's like they seem so wound tight around their anxiety and how they feel. They might say they feel fine, everything's fine, but they seem just so wound up and so tight, and they talk with this pressured speech, or they just seem like they're like hot and sweating, or they're having a really hard time managing themselves in some way or another, even when nothing is really happening. This is because their emotional load from the pressure cooker has increased their baseline stress level, that they are up at a very high level of stress all the time because they are not learning to deal with their stress or their feelings. And as a result, they're operating from this incredibly high stress level that seems normal to them, but to everyone around them does not. Eventually, what happens when you build this pressure cooker inside of yourself is that you become hypersensitive to any kind of triggers. Any little thing that a person does or says, or how they look at you or how they talk to you, becomes intolerable. You get reactive, and these triggers become landmines, especially for the people around you. Something small could activate that, and you're blowing up over nothing, and you know it's inappropriate. You understand that I just went off on my wife, or I'm shutting myself down and I'm distancing myself over something that was so ridiculous. If you find yourself in a position where you know that I'm having a really big reaction to very small issues, that's a key indicator to know that you've built a pressure cooker inside yourself. You're not dealing with your feelings. Your nervous system will always remind you of what your mind tries to forget. So let's talk about how the pressure cooker shows up inside of your relationships. I've already named a couple of different ways, but more times than not, what you'll see is that you get very defensive. You tend to have anger outbursts, criticism, very defensive reactivity with your partner, where you really just deflect and you cannot seem to accept responsibility for how you are making your partner feel. You'll say things like, well, you've done that to me, and so we're not going to discuss about something that you've done that your partner is bothered by. You're going to deflect and talk about something that happened a year ago or 6 months ago as a way to deflect what's really going on right now. See, that's part of the pressure cooker, is that I can't take responsibility for how I make people feel because I don't know how to fix it. I don't know what to do about it. Or I think that talking about how we feel is a waste of time because we can't fix it. We just have to move on. That's all part of the pressure cooker. On the flip, a more covert way that the pressure cooker is operating you is that it comes out in your contempt, in the way that you talk to your partner. So you might talk down to your partner. You may make fun in this sarcastic way, or joke and mean tease your partner in this cold way where you're not being empathetic, you're not feel like you're not paying attention to how it's making them feel. And your expectation is that they should just take it, because when you can take it, it means you're tough. But if you can't take it, you're too sensitive. And this is where it kind of starts to border on emotional and psychological abuse, is that you are doing something to hurt your partner's feelings. Your partner is trying to tell you about what you're doing that's hurting their feelings. And then you double down and imply, or literally say, that they're too sensitive. Again, where does your partner go with this information? How are they supposed to tell you how you're making them feel without you somehow turning it around on them or using it to disparage their character? The result of all of this completely breaks down the trust that you have in the relationship and the emotional safety that you have in the relationship. The essential message of trust is the question, are you there for me? When you are operating from a pressure cooker mentality, the answer to that question is no, I'm not there for you. And let me ask you something. If you're the one who has the pressure cooker and you're listening to this video, would you want your child to be with somebody who does this to them? So let's talk about a few ways that you can get out of the pressure cooker. Many of the people who've come to my program have a pressure cooker mentality, and that's why they've become reactive in their lives. They didn't know that they were doing this to their partner. They didn't know that they were doing this to their kid. They thought that what they were doing was that I was trying to make my kid strong. Or they thought that, I was just dealing with my partner the way that I was dealt with as a child. Or because they were so used to deflecting emotion and just not dealing with emotion, they fell into that pattern with their partner and just deflected all emotion. Their partner would bring them something that's bothering them and they would just dismiss it. I'm annoyed. It's irritating to me. I don't want to discuss this. This is ridiculous. Why do you bring this stuff up? It's exhausting for your partner. A few things have to happen in order for you to dismantle your pressure. The first thing that you want to do is just overall, in an overall way, you want to learn how to be able to become more emotionally aware and intelligent. Emotions carry messages. If I'm feeling angry, the message of anger is to push away. I don't want this. I don't like this. This is not for me. If we are stuffing anger, then we kind of become a doormat. We just allow things to happen to us. Underneath of anger, you have to really examine what is actually making me angry. And more times than not, people will mistakenly think this other person is making me angry. But that's only half the truth. The reality is that that person is triggering something inside of you that is a deep hurt. And so what might be making you angry is that you have an intense fear of rejection, or that you have a fear of abandonment, or a fear that your needs are not being met, or that you fear that you can't trust anyone. Those are schemas. Those are the deepest level belief systems that we have that are dysfunctional. And when schemas are operating you unconsciously, they pull out a lot of emotion and they tell you a lot of different stories in your head. They make things up that you will tend to believe, but in reality aren't actually true. So what I'm saying to you is that part of dismantling the pressure cooker is you have to learn how to name your emotion. You have to learn to identify, how do I actually feel right now? And people make a mistake in this. They confuse what they think with how they feel. You have to learn how to be able to identify the actual emotion that's going on inside of you and label that before you throw it in the pressure cooker and just dismiss it. Next, you want to pause before you react. Now, I know that sounds kind of simple and easy. It's incredibly hard to do. When you feel that sensation in your body, once you identify the emotion, you want to feel the sensation in your body. And that sensation should be the alarm bells going off, like on the dash of your car. This is not a time to be revving your engine and hitting the pedal to the metal. This is a time to look, stop, and assess what's going on before moving forward. So when those alarm systems are happening, like I feel it in my chest, in my shoulders, in my jaw, everything gets really tight. And I know in that moment, I am the danger in my family. Because if I keep going past that emotion, it gets more intense. It's like it feeds on itself. And I might say something that hurts somebody's feelings or do something that hurts somebody's feelings. And I don't want to be a danger to my family. So when I feel that feeling, I got to step away. As hard as that is, I have to go outside, go to my bedroom, go downstairs, go do something else for 5 minutes and just reset. The next step is genuinely having an interest in your emotions. Instead of dismissing them, instead of thinking that they're weak or something silly, remember, our relationships are based on how we feel. And they're also based on how we make other people feel. Think about the people in your life that you don't really want a whole lot to do with. My guess is that the reason that you don't want to have a lot to do with them is because of the way that they make you feel. What it's like to be around them, how they act towards you, and the emotions that they bring up inside of you. If those emotions are very disconnecting emotions like hurt, rejection, anger, you feel criticized, put down, shamed, made fun of, the chances are that you're not really fond of hanging out with those people because of the way they make you feel. That's why emotions are so important, because when you understand how you're making people feel, that offers you an opportunity to take responsibility for that and to be a little bit more cautious and careful about how you make people feel. But if you just act however you want to act because that's how you want to act, and you think that there should be no consequences for that, or if there are consequences for it because you're making your wife or your kids feel bad, it's because they're weak. You become the danger. They don't want to be around you. They don't want to do anything with you. They don't want to tell you anything. They don't want to engage with you. They want to distance themselves from you the same way that you distance yourself from those people I mentioned earlier. Learning the skills of sharing vulnerably, not reactively, is key. We have to learn how to be able to build the skills of the healthy adult, which you do in my program. This is the ability to tell somebody how you're feeling because you've identified it. When I'm talking to you about something that's important to me and you're on your phone and you're scrolling, it makes me feel rejected. It gives me the message you don't care about what I'm talking about. If you can learn to talk like that, you have a much stronger chance to work the problem out than blowing up and saying, get off your damn phone, I'm trying to talk to you. When you react that way, it's harsh, it sounds controlling, it sounds aggressive, and it doesn't make your partner want to do what you tell them to do. It makes them defensive. It makes them go, don't talk to me like that. What are you doing? If you're hearing yourself in this video, this is your sign. Breaking Reactive Patterns is a program that is built around understanding the pressure cooker, understanding what's underneath the pressure cooker, those schemas I mentioned earlier. Those schemas will continually plague you. They are patterned ways of believing that just keep going and keep going and keep going. They don't get better over time. They tend to get worse. Those schemas are built in fears, and if you don't identify what those are, then you're doomed to just keep repeating them. This is your opportunity. This is a fork in the road. You can either continue to do exactly what you've been doing, or you can take a new road that says, I want to be the person that I didn't have growing up. I want to be the man I can feel proud of. I want to be the mom who has a much better relationship with her children than I had with my mom. Look underneath this video. You'll find links to a discovery call where you can make a discovery call with me, and we'll go over whether or not you're right for my program, and I'll tell you all about it. And as always, thank you so much for watching.